Oh, right. Oh, look at that. The Jedi hood reveal. May the fourth be
Uh,
with us all. Look at that
absolutely.
awesome Star Wars intro that our man Delacote did.
You
My
know,
dude DB Cooper coming in with $5 out the gate. Look at that.
damn. You
It's
know,
going good.
every time I see these new intros, I feel like Pierre's working for the wrong people, or we're working for the wrong guy, because I don't feel like our skill set matches his.
Not at all. He's way too good and way too cool for us. But
Absolutely.
man, uh, one thing that I do appreciate is apparently he's as big a Star Wars fanatic as me. May the 4th is always a good day for me. Josh, do you like Star Wars? I mean, I know we've talked about it a bit.
Right.
Like how involved in the Star Wars thing are you?
You know, I have a sneaky feeling I'm not as involved as you are.
Well, what gives you that feeling?
I don't know. But I'll say this: I had the original Millennium Falcon, and I would give my mortgage payment to have it again. But I think my mom sold it in a garage sale, so I'm still pissed. Uh,
Yeah, if you sold it now, it might make your mortgage payment
mhm,
too.
absolutely. No, I mean, like most people in my generation, absolutely loved it. Watched Return of the Jedi. I want to say in theaters. Been a long time. Um, but
Wow.
it's kind of hard to keep up with all the spin-offs at this point in time. But no, absolutely, the original trilogy, 100%.
It's a lot, and I feel like the magic of Star Wars was always what's in your imagination, what's not on screen, and Disney is
Right.
taking that and filling in all the gaps in the story and leaving very little to the imagination. But some of it's fun. Want to welcome everybody for being here. Looks like a lot of folks have already gathered to celebrate the 4th with us. Um, if Billy the Kid and his world were Star Wars,
Hmm.
who would be who? Like, would Thomas Catron be the Emperor, or would Murphy be the Emperor?
You know, I think you got to go with Murphy just for the name recognition. Maybe I'm just
Which would
tainted.
make Dolan would be Darth Vader.
Darth Vader, yeah, because I
Yeah,
think Dolan was the true villain in the whole ordeal. Which, but then again, Darth Vader, in the third one, converted, so to speak, and and died, recanting of his sins. And I don't know if Dolan did that or not. So um, I don't know. That's a good question.
well, so if Billy was Luke Skywalker, that would mean that Dolan's his dad.
um, yeah,
And
yeah.
I
That's
love
where
this
you left.
because you hate nerding out so bad, and I love having these conversations because the look on your face is always like, can we just stop
I
this?
don't.
But Tunstall would be Obi-Wan.
That's a good one. Okay. All right. That's you're already stretching the limits of my Star Wars knowledge right here. But yeah, that sounds that sounds good.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
who's Yoda then?
Who would be Han Solo? And that's a good point. Probably I would say Charlie's got a Han Solo vibe.
Charlie, maybe Charlie or
Oh,
Tom.
didn't they call Tom like Big Tom or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe by stature alone, Tom was Chewbacca.
Chewbacca. But again, who's
Dang.
Yoda? Who's Yoda?
Who is Yoda? Guys, help us out. Who would Yoda be? Old wise Jedi master and hiding in the swamps.
Dick
I have
Brewer?
no idea who that could be.
I don't
Dick
either.
Brewer, maybe?
Dick Brewer.
Man, Dick Brewer might be Qui-Gon Jinn. I don't know if we want to go to the prequels.
Oh, dude, yeah, you're stretching it now,
Our
buddy.
viewership's gone from like 700 people to 2 because we started talking about Star
There's
Wars.
time for Star Wars bullshit.
Um,
Uh,
so
that's
yeah,
all right.
let's have fun today. All right, we're not gonna deep dive a lot. We're not gonna
Yeah.
uh, get to in the weeds. We're kind of gonna do a top 10
Mhm.
today. And was this a viewer's suggestion, Josh? Was this like a comment on Facebook?
It was. I put it out there again a couple days ago because we had some ideas and a couple deep dives that we were going to do, and I don't know, it just didn't feel right, so I threw it out on Facebook, and yeah, one of our viewers, I'm trying to think, Brad, maybe, I'm trying to think who it was, suggested this. I know they posted it a few months back, and I know it was actually on our list to talk about a couple months back, and I think just as always, time gets away with us and we get to rambling and chasing rabbits down holes, and we never got to it. So I thought this would be a good time to circle back. Before we dive into that, do we have any? Is there any coalition news to cover? Any important who, how, when, or where's that you've got on the top of your head?
We're just still badass so far as I know.
Okay, I didn't think that needed to be said, but you're right. Yes, sir.
What about? Do you know of any news? I can't think of anything.
Um, Not really. I mean, well, a couple little things. So the book sales are still going good.
We just made 10 more bucks, so that's news.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And while Kristen does get honorable mention for saying dummy would have been Yoda, I really got to go with honeybees as Delavina as Yoda. That's actually really good.
That was great. Yeah, pay attention, Kristen. Pay attention.
Yeah, you get there. So I'm sorry, you were saying something.
No, I was just saying, the Poe book is still selling really well. The Don Klein book, actually, when we brought the Don Klein book out, we kind of did it as a tribute to Don, but I never really expected it to sell a lot. And for the month of, what are we in now? May? No, we just finished April. So yeah, for the month of April, I think it sold only like 4 or 5 less books than the Poe book did. So it did really well. Awesome. It made us some good change to, hey, thanks, Colin. Thank you. Made us some good extra change to keep the lights on. So thank you guys for buying both of those. It's been a really, really big help.
Awesome.
Yoda. I still like Delavina, but I like where your head's at, Colin.
Lando's a good designation. Lando's way too cool. I mean, for us to take that one lightly, but we'll be doing this all night throughout. Yeah. I'm sure folks will have suggestions. Sure. I do think Paul said Lincoln County War was more like Game of Thrones, which is more accurate. Tons of warring houses. Nobody wins in the end. Everybody dies. And the last season is just horrible. So that's exactly how the Lincoln County War is.
I liked it, but we'll fight about that on another show.
Well, I'm the one that looks the most like George Martin, so I'm obviously right about anything Game of Thrones related.
No, done. You're right. I give up. So yeah, the book sales. I did want to announce one thing, and I know we're going to have him on the show soon. But we did add a little bit of spice to the coalition convention coming up. A good friend of ours, longtime friend, Brandon Dixon. We reached out to him, and kind of rekindled a friendship there, which I'm really excited about. He has his own business there, as most of y'all know. Most Dangerous Street in America tour, if I'm saying that right. So he does a really good tour there. I've taken it before. It's really good. He's very, very knowledgeable of the town of Lincoln. And he's going to team up with us at the convention, and he's going to kind of spearhead the tours that we give during that time period. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. That's a nice addition to the schedule, to the itinerary that is really going to kind of help take it to another level. So hopefully we can arrange something with him and get him on a show. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Just need to sit down and pencil it in. So yeah, so we did add that, which will be really good for the people that have bought tickets because it's just that much more cool stuff that we get to do. So yeah, so we've added that.
Right.
I talked to our boy Aaron, and I believe the Ellis House marker is being made as we speak. So I'm very excited about that. We both looked at it. It's going to be very similar to the marker we put at Stinking Springs. So, it's just amazing quality. I'm really excited about that. So business-wise, that's where we're at. I know you and I have finished up a couple projects that are going to press, so to speak, really soon. So I'm super excited about that. Jeremiah's got a trip. Again, we're still keeping that under wraps, but he's got a trip coming up in the next couple weeks to do some boots on the ground research. So very excited about that. So I think that kind of sums up what we've been doing this last month. Did I forget anything?
I don't think so, but you touched off on a lot of things that I did not spring to my mind, so I may not be a good judge of what we're forgetting, but that just means we're doing a lot, right?
I'm sure we're forgetting stuff too, but
yeah. Kristen said Jeremiah's tripping. Yep, he's taking a trip, and he
Trip.
will report back.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Brad says Brandon has a YouTube video where he's speaking in a church and going through Lincoln history. I watched it a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, Brandon has done this. He's a seasoned pro when it comes to Lincoln and giving you the history and showing you where it all went down. And we're looking forward to working with him and giving you guys that experience with him. So it's a very exciting thing, and hopefully you'll be hearing from him on the show here,
Yeah.
and we'll get his unique take on stuff and his expertise. So it'd
Yeah.
be a good time.
Brandon, his protege, so to speak, was Drew Gomer. They were very close. So Drew was definitely the authority on Lincoln when it came to tours and the what, knowing what and who's where of Lincoln. And Brandon certainly followed in his footsteps. So yeah, that's a big thing to add him to our list. And yeah, really really excited about it. So. Well, anyways, let's talk about some Billy items. Let's talk about the stuff
Top
that
10.
I would go ahead.
So we'll go through these and then kind of bounce off which one we would rather have. Is that the plan?
Yeah, let's before we do that, let's kind of kill two birds with one stone. I know some of the questions that people were asking about or topics for us to talk about, which kind of bleeds into this. Was someone asked where are the items that Billy had in his possession the night he died? Obviously, there were not a lot of items because he'd only been on the run for what 2.5, 3 months since escaping from Lincoln.
Mhm.
So you can only imagine that he was very limited on what possessions he had. And you know as well as I do, James, one of the main things that all the people argue, the doubters of him dying, the brushy crowd, the Miller crowd, if you will, is, well, where's his belongings? Where's his this? Where's his that? Well, we actually kind of somewhat know where some of it is. So to me, the three key things that if I were Billy that meant the most to me at the time of my death would be my guns and my horse. And we know
Yeah.
where all three of those are. Well, I say we know where all three of those are. They were accounted for at one point in time. So Colonel Potter actually acquired Billy's horse from Maxwell. He talks about it in his book. Gosh, just lost it. Texas Cowboy of some sort. I'd have to double check, but Colonel Potter does reference purchasing the horse from Maxwell. According to him, Maxwell got the horse from Billy, and Billy made Maxwell promise not to sell it, and Maxwell ended up doing it anyways, and kind of makes a joke about how Billy's going to come back and haunt him from his grave. But the horse, I guess, was Winbroke at the time, and when I read this, I didn't really know what Winbroke was, but basically just was wore out from the hard ride from Lincoln. So, anyways, Potter just kept the horse on his ranch, and I think it lived another decade or so, and ended up dying on a ranch that Potter was working up around Mora, New Mexico, which is about 3 hours as far as a car goes north of Fort Sumner. So we know where his horse went. So that's one of the big ones. So obviously, if Billy would have escaped that night and rode off into the sunset, I feel like he would have taken his horse, which he did not. So we've got that.
Right.
So we got his we got his two guns. We've got the pistol, which if he was armed, we know in Siringo's book that Siringo talks about the pistol going up for auction for $13. I think it was 13 even. It could have been 13.50. I don't remember right now. And he lost the bid on that to Billy Burt when it went up for auction in the fall after Billy was killed. So, somebody should probably, if we just had a genealogist that was worth a damn, should probably track down some Billy Burt descendants and see if we can find a pistol. You know a guy, James?
Maybe someday we'll get a member who can do that.
All right.
But now my question is Siringo our only source on that? It seems like we would have record of the auction or something. I just don't know of any other source that mentions that.
I don't either.
And
I don't either.
it's still just so weird to me that his gun would be lost to history.
I mean, that is a big one to just disappear from, assuming Siringo's telling the truth, which for some reason Siringo seems to have a pretty negative opinion by most people, at least historians, in regards to credibility, which, I mean, I think he definitely could tell a tale here and there and spin a good one. But I've never really come across anything to indicate that he was blatantly lying. So I don't
Yeah.
have any reason to deny that. I mean, if anything, if he was going to lie, I think he would have lied and said he bought the pistol for $13. And you know,
Yeah.
so for that, I tend to believe that's true. But it would be interesting to know if anyone's ever looked into court documents and seen if there's any record of that auction and what was sold at it to kind of confirm
Yeah.
Serengo's report. But
Well, and I know that when Henry Newton Brown was killed, when he attempted to rob a bank in Medicine Lodge, Kansas,
mhm,
um, he was shot after he was captured. Serengo came out in the newspapers and said, "Hey, this guy was linked to Billy the Kid. I knew him." And he didn't really exaggerate in those accounts. And when he was interviewed by the newspapers in Kansas, he gave a pretty straightforward story that I believe is
mhm,
consistent with his actual experience with Brown and with Billy. So maybe so. Maybe he was a bit of a more reliable old timer than we give him credit for. Real quick, I know we're going through the top 10. Have we even touched on any yet, or have we just been given
no,
like, okay,
no,
real quick. Someone asked a question, and I'm trying to find it here.
uh huh,
Uh, that I think we can talk about real quick. It was Payrick Marshall. Viewer here says, "Is Mrs. Church's account accurate of witnessing the killing of the sheriff?" I think what he's talking about is Amelia Bolton Church
hmm,
said that she was just a girl living in Lincoln,
mm,
and
mm,
she was there when the Sheriff Brady was assassinated.
right,
And we have an account of her written. It's a
mhm,
written interview with the federal, the Writers Project of America
mhm, mhm,
papers that they did during the Depression era.
right,
And they interviewed a bunch of New Mexico
mhm,
citizens about their memories and recollections. And she gives her account there of seeing Brady shot by the kid and the other regulators. Also, Dan Edwards has posted a video where she's recorded on
an
audio
audio, yeah,
talking to talking to some folks about it, and she gives her account there. I can't vet that audio because the source isn't provided. Do I think it's fake? No, I can't say that. I just say about anything that
mhm,
is given to me without a source, I can't
mhm,
vouch for it. But it is interesting to listen to.
right,
Um, I think her account of her being there is truthful.
mhm,
I personally think that she was young, and most of the time she was hiding behind her door. And I think a lot of the things that she says is embellishment and kind of just trying to put some hot sauce on her story.
right,
She probably heard shots and cowered behind a door and saw a bunch of people running. Now, she says that she saw Billy, just Billy, take off and ride up on a bluff across the river behind the Ellis house, wave his hat, and taunt people as they were shooting at him and everything like that. I don't
mhm,
think that really happened, but was she there?
right,
Yeah. Yeah, I think she was there. She was definitely, we can confirm the Churches or the Boltons at that time were residents.
mhm.
But yeah, I think she kind of spiced her story up a little bit.
Yeah, and I think so. I mean, I don't know because you're right. I mean, any little girl that age hears gunshots, and I think her first instinct is going to be to duck and cover, not to go investigate. So yeah, I think you're probably right. She probably heard shots, and then oral stories took the place of memories over the years, and I think that's kind of where we're at. And I don't
Yeah.
remember what the specifics were. Doss could clarify. I don't know if he's watching or not. I know Doss did a little deal on it, and there was something to it that left Doss to believe that the audio didn't match her story. Like I don't know that he came out and said
Right.
that Edwards had doctored it, but I guess there was something to it that didn't match. And I don't want to speculate on what that was, but I mean I trust Doss's research. So if there was something there,
Yeah.
then maybe there was, and maybe we can visit with him later, and he can do a post on it or something again. Because yeah, there was definitely something there that caught his attention that made him doubt
Yeah.
um, the audio because I guess it didn't match with the written report or something. I don't know, but yeah,
Right.
I think she was there, and kind of like you, I imagine she probably heard some stuff, and memory and imagination probably filled in the gaps.
Yep. Yeah. And yeah, I do. I've spoken with Doss about that too, and he's a little skeptical.
Hmm.
Um, so glad we were able to talk about that. Thanks for asking about that. I love when you guys bring up the topics and the questions because we're so scatterbrained and in the weeds. We're thinking about stuff particularly in an avenue of research that we're looking at, and it's good to answer questions that other people are thinking about that we may
Yeah,
not spend a lot of time on.
no,
Moving on, though,
absolutely.
let's go ahead and hit number one of our top,
Yeah.
not
Okay.
top 10 in any particular order, but our
Sure.
10 item list of what we would like to have, what relics from Billy Land that we would like to talk about and explore and own, ideally.
Number one of them.
Number one, of course. Do you have the list with you, Josh?
I don't because I was counting on you, but I can pull
Okay.
it up.
Yeah, you can count on me any day of the week.
Yeah,
Num
I'm just the eye
Okay.
candy here, James. You run everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Thomas Catron is Jabba. I just had to throw that up there. Honeybee
Okay,
is just coming in with the hits. She's just got the Star
on
Wars
point.
assignments laid down. Um, Misty, don't forget to check out the merch on sale. Appreciate that, Misty.
Thank you.
So anyway, number one, of course, the authentic Billy the Kid tintype hanging behind Josh there on the wall.
All 12 feet
How
of
many
him,
people would
baby.
like to own that piece of history? Talk about it a
Uh,
little bit, Josh. Tell us about the tintype.
well, obviously, we know it's in possession of Bill Koch right now. What was it, $2.3 million back in 2011? I would love to know what it would go for if it sold again now. I don't think there's actually any photos that anyone takes seriously as a number two contender. So I think the value is going to hold strong. Um, so yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what it goes for, depending on what he does with it. When he passes.
Yeah,
But yeah, oddly enough, the tintype photo and how it came to be will tie in with our photo speculation that we do with every episode. So we'll kind of come back and touch on that more later. But yeah, I mean, photos are cool. But yeah, it would be cool to have. We'll just leave it there. What are your thoughts, James?
uh, I agree, but Kathy makes a good point. Her daughter is an archivist. She says the photo would have to be kept in protective paper and in the dark and never touched. So yeah, you own something amazing, but you can't just keep it out and show people and let them handle it a lot.
That's true.
You got to keep it stocked up. So in that sense, it's less of a something for you to give
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
aesthetic pleasure and more of a like a financial investment, maybe something to hang on and keep in a safe
Right.
and sell when you need it. It's more of an asset.
But one of the rules
But
are
still
we can't
history
sell
to
these
own.
items.
Right. I would really love if anyone found another copy, just to find it. The fact that we knew there were four and
Right.
there's only one left. We know one perished in a fire, most
Right.
likely. What happened? I know the third one. One of them Pat Garrett had, and I
That's cool.
believe personally, as far as I've been able to track it, it was in the hands of an author named John Milton Scanlon,
Mhm.
who had no children, no wife, and he passed away in California. I don't know that he ever gave it back, and so that just kind of got, maybe it's in some flea market in California right now. Where was
Right.
the other one? Who had the other one?
So you had Charlie 4 that had one, and was the one that he had the same one that Delavina had? Am I confusing those 2? Because it could have
Yes, and
passed
I
from Debbie
believe it's the
Down.
one that it burned, didn't it? It was in the
Yeah.
house fire, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of the 2 burned. I just can't remember if it was the same one that was passed from Delavina to 4.
Yeah.
And of course, the Diedrich one that we have now, the one that's missing. Gosh, where did the 4th one go?
Yeah, why am I drawing a blank here on the fourth one?
I don't know, because I am
Somebody
too.
throw it out in the chat. Somebody's
Yeah.
got to know in the chat. You
Uh,
know, it's so weird to have an elementary question like this and it just slips your mind.
Unless both of them were lost, and the Delavina one and the Charlie 4 one were 2 different, but probably not.
Mm.
Because the one that Delavina had is the one that I guess she would have gotten from Billy after the capture at Stinking Springs, correct? Or did Pat keep that one now? See, now
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna get
don't
lost
know.
in that, and I can't remember.
Was there even a photo? Is any of this real?
Well, Greg says that's not him anyway, so maybe we don't even need to talk about it.
Right. Um,
Moving on.
Number two, we'll move on. We'll move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Billy's shackles and leg irons from his escape. So what
You
about that?
know, so I have no knowledge of where those would be. Of course, we know there is a an author out there that claims that the Padilla family, I think, or the was is the Padilla family that he claimed had two pairs of handcuffs that came from it, or was it the Salazar
Well, I
family?
know that that property was on the Padilla
Right.
property, but I can't remember.
Right,
And
I can't either. I don't think it matters. That's the only
yeah,
connection that I've heard about where possible shackles could be. Um, but those are just I don't think those are real for 1,000 reasons that we don't have to get into. So I've not heard anything or anybody account for where they are. My guess is the shackles are probably after they were removed along the trail or at removed at Los Tablas, not the Padilla Ranch. They could have just been thrown in the dirt. And wouldn't it be cool if some good metal detecting uncovered those? I guess that's part of
right.
the Shippey Ranch, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I know that that Amy is in contact with them. So maybe Amy, if you're watching, I need you to go find those shackles. I need you to earn your keep, ma'am. so um,
That's
but
right.
man, again, knowing for 100% certain that those were the shackles, that would obviously be a very cool item to possess.
Yes. It's ironic that Nathan chimes in here with the shotgun he used to kill Bob, because number 3 on our list is the shotgun that Billy
Mhm.
used to kill Deputy Ollinger. And we
Oh,
know where this one
man.
is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Coke has it now. I got to see it years ago when it was at the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame Museum in Waco. It was part of the Jim East collection, if I'm remembering correctly, and then he lent it to them for a while. Um, I will say this, even though I'm going to hold my opinions on what I want to the very end. For whatever reason, only by default, we did not put the gun that killed Billy the Kid on this list. So I'm going to go ahead and say this: I would rather own the shotgun that Billy used to kill Ollinger than the gun that was used to kill Billy. That's just me personally. I
I
would
think I agree with you there.
absolutely love to have that shotgun. Um, One of my top would love to have items. I don't remember, and I didn't get to read the message you just put up, but I don't remember how much it sold for at auction. But I don't. It was nowhere near what the pistol went for, which was what, like 6 billion or something. Okay, 1 million.
Roland said it was nearly a million. So
Okay, yeah, I knew it was close to that. So, um, again, if I had to pick between one of the two, I'd rather have the shotgun. Yep, give me the shotty.
yeah.
Exactly. Um, I mean, Garrett or Billy held it. It was Garrett's. I mean, gosh, I don't know. I mean, if I had to list one or two firearms in history that I would want to own, that would be right up there.
Mhm.
Yeah, how did I know, Brad? One
Absolutely.
job, buddy. One job, and you missed it.
And I love how the shotgun is basically wired back together too, which is just
so
amazing.
it's so cool considering him breaking it and throwing the pieces at him. I mean, God, what an awesome event to
Uh,
witness in history. The fury and the anger that must have been going through Billy at the time to I mean, it's one thing to kill a man, but then to shatter the gun and freaking chunk it at him and talk shit to him after you've done it. I mean,
yeah.
and for a guy that was supposed to be a pretty easygoing, I think a good-hearted person for the most part, but to have that much
Mm.
hatred, that just goes to show you maybe what an asshole Bob was.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe so. Roland got us a number on that shotgun: $978,312.50.
Well,
Good price.
if I had Coke's net worth, I would gladly spend that because that's about 30 cents for me right now. So absolutely well
Right.
worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say, we're on the subject of the courthouse real quick.
Mhm.
Doss had a really cool kind of like, maybe coincidence or maybe there's something to it, theory that he put out that, the day Billy escaped, there
Mhm.
was an article in I think the Las Vegas newspaper, that they interviewed Wallace, and
Uh-huh.
Wallace said something about a pardon. He said Billy wanted a pardon and we had arranged it, but of course it's not going to happen. But Wallace was definitive in this interview,
Mhm.
saying, "I'm not giving the kid a pardon."
Mhm.
And Doss said, "What if Billy read it that day?" And it was not necessarily predetermined What if Billy was biding his time as much as possible to
Right.
see if Wallace was going to come through? But when he read this article on the 28th of April,
Uh-huh.
and he saw in black and white Wallace say the kid is not getting a pardon, that's when he made his move, and he killed Bell and
Yeah.
Ollinger, and he got out of there. And it's interesting because I found an article and I sent it to Doss of Wallace in maybe 1901 or
Uh-huh.
1900, and he's given this interview, and his narrative is wrong. The timeline is wrong.
Mhm.
Wallace never told a story straight,
No.
or told it the same way twice.
No.
But he did say that he made sure Billy got a copy of this newspaper where he said he wasn't going to get a pardon. The timing is different
Uh-huh.
about when he sent it, but I'm thinking, what if Wallace made sure that Billy got a copy of that paper as soon as he could, as kind
Mhm.
of like an FU to Billy?
Yeah.
And then as a result of that,
Mhm.
Bell and Ollinger lost their lives because Billy was like, all right,
Oh,
then I'm out.
all right. Well, okay, so here's my question. You might know the answer to this because I don't. When was that article printed? Because
It's a good
obviously
question because how would it have made it to Las Vegas that
same day
fast, right?
same day it would not have.
Yeah.
I mean, you're dealing Vegas to Lincoln, horseback, something to transport a paper. Dude, that's a 4-day, 5-day ride. So that would be my only question because I thought about that. Actually, I thought about that just the other day.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess I would just have to compare the date of when Billy escaped to when that article appeared. I
Well,
mean,
I
unless
never let the facts get in the way of a good theory.
no, that's just no, that's. um, but even with that, I mean, that could have been telegrammed. I mean, that could have been sent by telegraph, maybe.
Wallace might have done the interview and been like, telegraph that to
Mhm.
Billy, but it's
That,
hard to say.
yeah,
It's an interesting thought, though. Very
it is.
interesting.
And there might be something to it because I think not to take away from Doss, but I think David Thomas at some point in time addressed that in one of his books as well. That he thought that the
He may
connection
have.
was very odd. So maybe the
Yeah.
time there was enough time to justify or to allow Billy to have seen that article. I don't know. Be good to look into. Maybe we can look into it and we'll talk about it on the next show.
Right. And let's make a note too. DB says, why would Wallace have this grudge against Billy? I would like to talk about why Wallace didn't come through with the part and what may have happened and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I think there were a lot of factors at play, and it would be fun to talk about, and it'd take more time than we have now to do it if we
Yeah.
want to move through this list. But yeah, let's put a pin in that because I
Yeah.
want to talk about that.
It's a good topic.
Um,
Yeah.
where we at? We're at number 4.
Four. Four.
Billy's Colt revolver. Billy's
Okay.
what was it? 31, 41,
Well, it depends on which one we're
31.
talking about. No one a 31. Of course, you had 38 light. You talking about? Are you thinking of a 38? Is what you're thinking of?
I'm
Which
talking
not a,
about the gun he had on him the night he died, the Colt Thunderer, not the Lightning.
right. So, and that's the
I didn't
question.
smoke crack or anything today, but like
Yeah, they're
I
all
feel like
like
every bit of knowledge I have about Billy is not
gone.
here.
Well,
41. Thank you, Matt. I knew it was 31 or 41, and it just wasn't happening. Missy, he may have had a 44. Bad review on Ben Hur. Yeah, maybe Billy gave that. Colin and Matt both say 41, and that was what was going through my head. But I second guessed on the 31.
Well, it would depend. I mean, when I'm thinking of this, I mean, since we're kind of making up our own rules here, I guess it would depend on which
Tonight
pistol.
we are.
Yeah, well, let's just do what we want to do. It would depend on which pistol, because let's just say it's the 41 that was in existence that he was holding when he died, and Billy Bird auctioned off, etc. Are we talking about that pistol, or are we talking about maybe the pistol that he
Yes.
wore in the tin type that he probably used to kill Joe Grant with, and probably wore all throughout
Personally,
the war?
I would be talking about the 41 because the pistol he had in the tin type. I'm not sure how long Billy held on to any pistol. He could have gone through 50 pistols during his few years there.
Right.
At least the Colt Thunderer would be something that would be like definitively linked to Billy.
Okay.
But I mean any Colt owned by Billy would be a good acquisition.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. I mean, yeah. Where are all those guns at? Where's how about the rig and the gun that he wore in the tin type, the one you see behind me?
Right.
Man, damn.
Why didn't people
Um,
hang on to this stuff?
Somebody does and just doesn't know what it is my guess. So
Hmm.
that rig that you see on the tintype behind me, that exact rig was probably confiscated at Stinking Springs, would be my guess. And where to go from there? I mean, again, we know that
Good point.
they fought over what Billy's rifle afterwards, if I remember right, or was it? Yeah, it was Billy's, right? Again, here we go forgetting everything. But yeah, Beaver Smith ended up throwing a fit over it because he said that he owed him a tab.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I don't know, either that pistol or the 41 that was auctioned off. Again, we're assuming that that's correct, and it was auctioned off, and he had it in his hand the night he died. Um, if I had to choose between either one of the two pistols, I think I would go with the one that was in the photograph that he killed Joe Grant with, presumably. But I don't know. Can you imagine what that would be worth? Man,
Yeah, amazing. But I don't know how you would establish provenance for any of them really at this point. There's no written serial
right.
numbers or anything like that. But
In reality,
we're
there
just
would.
dreaming here.
But
Yeah.
just under the preset guidelines that all of this stuff is 100% legitimate. I don't know which one I'd rather have. I think I'd rather have the one that he's wearing right now. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
I'd rather
What
have
say
the
you?
Thunder, I think.
Think so?
But yeah, I'd rather have the Colt Thunder, the 41. Misty says someone somewhere has it but has no idea what it is. But I've learned something too about collectors in the past couple of years. Someone may very well have it and just not want to tell anybody, because a lot of times collectors just love to sit on this stuff and own it, and
Hmm.
and they love to keep it locked up and never say a word about it, and that's a shame, but that's just how it is. And so yeah, Misty, probably one of these two scenarios: they either don't know it or they do know it.
Yep. And
So
they just don't want to share it.
uh,
Which you're right. There's been a little bit of that.
it's interesting. Our producer Delacote just threw in our comments here, serial number 22384 for 1876, 45 caliber, 7.5 inch barrel. I don't know if somebody wants to look that up. Is that related to? Is there some provenance that was a Billy thing? Um,
Is that the
Very
gun that
cool.
the only one that I can think of, and I'm just shooting off the top of my head, that had any connection to Billy that I believe was disproven was the gun that what's a famous silent movie star Hart owned.
Oh
Claimed.
yes.
I'm wondering if that's what Pierre found.
Was
Maybe.
it Audrey Murphy?
Oh gosh, no, no, I don't think it was Audrey Murphy. Um,
But
no,
he played Billy the Kid, and they gave him a gun that they said was Billy the Kid's. William Hart.
right. Yeah, I think it was William Hart. Well, I said Hart. I said
I
the wrong.
just
Yeah,
thought of that. It just came to me, and I thought William Hart. That's probably it. Just out of my vast store of knowledge, um,
well,
in my
James,
thing, I thought perhaps, you know, Audie Murphy, but no, it really just felt
yeah,
like William
yeah.
Hart just came to mind. You know,
Can't imagine why. I don't, James. At this point in time, I don't even
yeah.
know why we're on the show. Clearly, this is not. This is we just clearly we need a few other people to do this. But yeah, so I don't know. That's probably going to be the one that's referenced. Would be my guess because that was a 45 that he claimed to own. And then again, I think I don't know how it was debunked, but I know it was debunked that wasn't actually Billy's.
So okay, I wonder if this. Let me share my screen real quick. I know
Okay.
we're just burning time here, but Delacote sent me this link, um, and let's take a look at it. It's historic Colt single action army revolver attributed to famed outlaw William H. Billy the Kid Bonney. Serial number 7.5 inch barrel with Hartford address, walnut grips, right side of butt with 7 notches. The letter states that after Bonney escaped from the Lincoln County Jail, he fled to Fort Sumner. There he hid the gun in a tree and later told his friend Jesus Silva where it was.
Mm-hmm,
Silva
mm-hmm.
was called in to identify the body. He
I remember
traded the
that
gun to
one
Milton Brown,
now. Mm-hmm.
a lumberyard owner, for a Colt revolving rifle. Brown gave the revolver to his son-in-law, who bequeathed it to his son Ben.
Okay.
Um, so wow, yeah, that sounds like
Yeah,
there's a
I do remember that one now.
yeah. We should look into that. That's pretty cool.
So yeah, I
See if
wonder
I
where.
can.
Yeah, and that
How
looks
about
very
that?
similar. It's a nice. I mean, yeah, and it looks very
That's an
similar to the one that Garrett uses. I think Garrett's was a 4440, but yeah, 7.5 inch barrel, everything.
I
It's a
don't know
great.
why these notches would be in the grip. You know, that's a little
Yeah,
Walter
if you're.
Noble Burns-ish.
Yeah, I don't really. But that could have been done afterwards.
Yeah,
Because
interesting. That's cool.
yeah, and I do remember that story
That's
vaguely, but what happened to it afterwards, I don't know, and how much stock we can put in that story, I don't know. I just don't know that much about it, other than that little bit of
that is a good looking firearm, though.
it is.
Wow.
I mean, I'd take it if they wanted to give it to me.
Well, they would have for $64,000.
I've
They would
got
have given it right to
6,300.
you.
Yeah, I'm 63,500 short, but sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Roland says that most likely would have been from the crap, this chat even is messing with me. From the armory at the courthouse, if
So I don't even look
genuine.
at it because
Yeah.
I can't keep up.
Yeah. And Billy wouldn't have had time to put notches in that grip.
Yeah. So I mean, it could have,
Yeah.
in theory, been there to begin with, or
Mm.
afterwards. They were jacking around and put notches in it for whatever
What?
reason. There's no telling.
Okay. I'm moving on.
Let's move
Of
on.
course, we'll have to specify which one we mean
Sure.
here too. But Billy's Winchester rifle.
Well, again, when I was going through this list, I was envisioning the Winchester rifle that you see there behind you. The one that it was quoted that he favored his Winchester. I believe in the codes talk about that. So I
Yeah.
think I don't know any reason why he would have gone through a multitude of rifles in his career. So if in theory he only had one and it's the one that you're seeing there, that may have had something to do with shooting Brady or Heineman. That could have put a bullet in Morton and Baker or McCloskey. Probably not McCloskey, but Morton and Baker. So that's kind of the Winchester that I attribute it to. Now we do have, which I think we forgot to get to, but we do have the one Winchester that's supposed to be his, that Roy Young talks about in his book, and I believe that's also in the Koch personal collection. That Winchester obviously would be amazing to own, but I don't put it at the same level as the one we're talking about because I'm sure that was just one that Billy grabbed from the armory,
Right.
when he left. Of course, we have the Winchester
Well,
rifle that's in the museum at Fort Sumner, but I feel very confident that that's not legit, so I don't really count that one.
to quote the man that created the list, Brad says he means the Colt and rifle in the photo. So yes, as you took it, sir.
I was with you, Brad. Sorry, I don't know where James is at. He's too busy thinking about stupid Star Wars.
I was watching Star Wars. Probably it's probably
That's
why I
okay.
don't know anything
Yeah, I just
tonight.
want everybody to know that James went off the radar for 2 whole days straight about a week ago, and I thought he died, and he finally answers me, and he'd been playing stupid Star Wars video game for 2 days straight. Like,
I
totally
finished it
cold
though.
turkey. He's like, "I'm sorry, I just finished
Yeah.
whatever," and I'm like, "You're 12, James."
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm sorry. Look, I get it in my system, and I got to get it out.
I understand. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
forgive you. You're good.
It's got to happen.
That
But
happened.
yeah, it would be amazing to have these guns.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
In that
it's on
photo.
here. Well, I mean, I'm gonna jump ahead because it's connected, but Billy's complete outfit as seen in the tintype photo.
Mm-hmm.
So dang. I mean, where would someone would hang on to this?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I mean, whether he was a notorious outlaw or not, you wouldn't just throw it away. You'd say this was Billy's. Somebody might be
Yeah.
interested in this. It's just so weird.
And I think especially back then, I mean, it wasn't like today where we had 20 pairs of pants and we had a full closet full of clothing. I mean, clothes were probably a little bit harder to come by at that time. So you're right. You'd think somebody would hold on to it. His boots, which there was, speaking of the boots and the outfit, while we're talking about that, another question we had was, are the boots in the museum in Tombstone authentic? And I would say about 99.99% no. There's zero
Yeah.
provenance to those. Yeah, I don't know where they came from, but yeah, I don't think those are legit.
Yeah, and it's like here in West Virginia at our cultural center, there in a glass booth, there's a pair of chaps, and it just says on this little card, these chaps once belonged to Billy the Kid, William H. Bonney, and it's like there's no
hmm
supporting documentation or anything. And I figure it's a lot like that with those boots. It's like someone just showed up in maybe the 20s and said these were Billy's, and it stuck.
Good
But
stuff, right?
unfortunately, there's just no provenance behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt is right. That anchor shirt is amazing, and I
Oh,
think we'd all want to just sport that and wear that down the
imagine
street,
that pressed
and
and then a nice frame on the wall. How good that would look.
that would look so good.
It would look so good. It looks so good. Uh,
Brad already claims the ring along with Judy. Oh, he's talking to Judy. So him and Kristen already claimed the ring. I don't know if they're sharing custody of that
well,
or what.
sucks for y'all because this is our show and we've already claimed it. So
I did see Kristen asked what he was buried in. Didn't Pat get him pay for a suit of a beige suit?
So, I want to make sure I'm not confusing it with what he put Charlie in and what he put Billy and Charlie and
Right.
Tom in. So I know for certain that he was put in an oversized white T-shirt. Now
Wow,
again,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
So I could be wrong. I don't believe he was put in a suit. For some reason, I feel that that's confusing. That we're confusing that with Charlie and Tom. I'd also like to know where. Let's just talk about the suits in general. Like there wasn't like a big and tall in Fort Sumner. Where did he get all these suits from? That's what I'm trying to figure out. But
That's a good question because he did put Charlie in one, right?
I mean, that's the story. But I mean, that's the story that Garrett told. I mean, I'd have to check the original source, but I think both putting Charlie and Tom in one came from Garrett's book because there was no other contemporary source at the time. So that sounds like something that Garrett might have just said to make himself sound like a good guy. Because again,
Yeah,
having spent about 1,000 freaking hours studying Fort Sumner with Mel for the maps that we've done, I just don't know where they would have been a suit store in Fort Sumner. So yeah,
it's
I
hard
would
to
really
say
question
what it really. You don't know what those stores would have sold. I guess
that. Right. And really, I don't.
it's odd.
Yeah, I don't even know what store there would be to sell something. I mean, maybe I'm just not thinking of it, but a few blacksmiths, sure, bars, of course. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there was ever a reference to an actual store during the time Billy was there. And if there was, what's the likelihood that they sell suits that fit dead
Right.
outlaws? I don't know.
Well, I know
Another rabbit hole.
I looked up in Garrett's book here in
Mhm.
Authentic Life about Billy. He just says the body was neatly and properly dressed and buried in the military cemetery.
Yeah, I think Jose Silva is the one that talks about putting him in a large white T-shirt. I remember it being
Mm.
oversized. I remember that distinctly. I think Paco may also talk about it, assuming Paco was there.
Yeah, it's in. I might look into I think someone mentioned Ilfeld. Maybe he had some kind of merchandise line of it, like running from where he was in Las Vegas to Sumner and fed him with some materials or something.
I mean,
Maybe Beaver could put it in his saloon, have a little shop. I don't know. It's hard to
it's
say.
possible, but I mean,
Um,
but again, why you got to think of the village of Fort Sumner, a bunch of poor sheep herders and sheep farmers, and
Mhm.
why suits? I mean, God, how many of those could you possibly sell? I mean, I
Right.
think Garrett kept them in business when he bought the three. I guess I don't know. I can't imagine why you would keep suits in stock at a
So this
village.
is interesting. Judy says, was it ever proven that the sweater belonged to Pete Maxwell? You can plainly see PM initials on it. To be honest, I've never really seen those
Yeah,
initials on it.
I've heard that, but I've never actually seen it, so I don't know where it would be on it.
Yeah, so we'll have to explore that. I don't know if that's been analyzed by folks who, want to see the initials on it. We have that high res scan that was provided to us by Mr. Weddle. Maybe we can look
Yeah,
into it and try to see it on there, but I haven't seen that.
I'll ask him
personally.
because I mean he wrote a very in fact he could probably put out a small book on the history of the tintype and everything behind it. He shared a lot of it with me. I'll ask him what he knows about that because I think he is probably the definitive authority on the tintype. Maybe he knows something about it because I've heard that as well. But like you, I've never actually. I would have no idea where a PM was. I've never seen it.
Right. Letters to Wallace. Owning his letters to Wallace.
Um, Obviously, any sort of handwriting would be amazing to have or to own of his with signatures. Um, I don't know that I would put it up there with some of the other items,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
it would be amazing to have it displayed and framed. But then I think you're dealing with the same problem with that as you are the photo. I don't know that you could really display those. The letter, the bill of sale that's down in Canyon that I've seen and held. They took that hasn't been on display in 30 years for that very reason. So while it would be amazing to say you own it, it kind of sucks if you can't show it off.
Getting back real quick to the suit thing, Matt brings up a good point that, I thought about too. Like, what exactly did they mean by suit back then?
It's a great,
They could have just meant jacket and trousers. That's very true.
yeah. I don't know. I never thought about that.
Um, we got to move quick. We're clocking in at
Yeah.
53 minutes, and we haven't even talked about a picture or a book yet.
Oh yeah. Let's
Butcher
move
knife
past
Billy
books.
was holding.
Yeah. Again, amazing. You know,
Who has
I
that now?
Coke does, of course. Coke has everything.
Of course he does. Of course he does. Unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it would be amazing to have. Again, I don't know
It
that I could.
belongs in a museum.
It all
Frankly,
does.
all
You
this
know,
stuff does.
and and I'm probably speaking about things I don't know enough about to be speaking of, but I've. It's my understanding that his family does not share this passion that he does, and
Yeah.
I believe the Smithsonian has been in the process of reaching out to him for several years. So I'm really hoping that's what he does with it when he passes. That way, at
Honestly,
least,
man, I hope it finds its way to a museum in New
yes,
Mexico.
that would be amazing. But at least a
Yeah.
museum somewhere, because the last thing I personally want to see happen is it all gets sold off to the highest bidder and then it just disappears forever. So, um,
Sad.
yeah, it is. And like I said, he's again, obviously, I don't know him. I've never spoken to him, but I know some people that are in contact with him, and I think his health is not great. And
Mhm.
um, hopefully, he makes some sort of plans for everybody to see this when he passes,
Yeah. I
or
mean,
give it to me. He can
it's
do either one.
something that
I'm fine with it.
I think it's something people deserve to see. I think
Yeah,
history should be public, and I hope he does that. But
yeah.
Billy's sombrero, wouldn't
Sombrero.
that be cool to have his hats?
So what do we got? We got it referenced in like let's just assume that's the hat that Charlie was wearing that got him killed. That's what I think of when I think
Right.
of the sombrero. Um, that'd be cool. I don't.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of confusion with. Of course, you've got that hat, and then you've got what was his name? Gosh, like, I'm just really off tonight, James. I don't know what it is, but there's another gentleman that claims to have gotten a hat that Billy was wearing. Um, from Stinking Springs. Wallace.
Hmm.
Oh crud.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Wasn't it?
Okay.
I think it was Wallace,
It may have been
actually.
Wallace.
Well, he wrote a memoir.
Yeah, he wrote a memoir. Nolan did the foreword for it. I've got the book behind me. I'm just not gonna
Yeah.
put my ass in the air while I bend over looking for it. But you guys can thank me later. But yes, but I think that was supposed to be the hat that Billy was wearing. And clearly Charlie may have been wearing Billy's. So yeah, the sombrero, man, that would be a cool piece of Billy history to have, especially if Charlie was wearing it at the time he was shot.
Oh man. Yeah. We already went through the complete outfit. The gambler's ring. That's the last one.
You know, that seems to be the one item that when I see these discussions come up in chat groups that seems to be the most coveted. Man, who knows where that damn thing's at? It could be with him in the grave. He could have been buried with it. I don't know. It wasn't like they were inventorying property at the time that he was captured. I mean, they probably didn't take his pinky ring off of him or gambler's ring. So hell, it could be somewhere in the in the cemetery. But
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, I don't know why they would have taken it from him, but maybe they did. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be wild? Wow.
Man, just to see what that looked like, and that would be something you could display. That would be
Yes.
cool. I mean, I've got my fantasy football championship ring back there that I get to display. So my
You put
bling.
that one right beside it.
Yep, right beside it. So yeah, I'd like to ask everybody, and we may not have time to tally it up, but we can tally it up and we'll put a post on it. Everybody that's watching, put on there what item you would want out of what we discussed. And me and James will tally it up and we'll do a post on it tomorrow because I am curious what the general consensus is. I think I've
Yeah.
got my item, James. What you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Well, my answer would be, and I'll specify it's not necessarily what Brad meant, but it would be Billy's Colt 41. That's what I would like.
Okay. So,
That he had on him the night he died.
so pretty much any Billy item you can think of, that would be the one that you would want.
Yeah.
Okay.
DB's with me.
DB. Okay. All right. All right. Oddly enough, I've thought about this question for many years. I would have to go with the Winchester that's in the tin type. I think that was his favorite possession. That was probably his most prized possession. The kills or the action that probably saw. It's the Winchester for me all day. If I could pick the gun and rig that he's wearing in there as well, that would be a very close second. Very close. But yeah, I think I'd have to go with the Winchester.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up the top 10 list.
Yeah.
I think we covered it all.
I think we did. I am anxious to see what everybody says. So hopefully everybody will type in what it is and we'll tally it up. I would be, my guess is going to be between the two pistols and the pinky ring from what I hear people talk about, but we'll see.
Let's talk Billy photo. Brought to you by Furlong Photography, Las Vegas. Stop in, get your picture taken. So what do we got? You picked this one today, right?
Right. Yeah, this is mine. This is kind of a serious one. Usually we kind of use this segment to kind of poke fun at the ridiculous pictures that are out there, which there's a lot. So this picture we always talk about, or I've heard you reference it before on a few photos that you have given a second and a third look to. For me personally, if I had to say there is a second photo out there, if I had to pick one of all the 100 photos out there that float around that I would say if I had to put my money on one is a second picture of Billy, I would probably put it on this one because as weak as the provenance is on it, there is a little bit there and we can cover it really quick. But let's go ahead and throw the photo up and then we'll talk about it.
Boom. There you go.
So, this actually most people have probably not seen this photo without the big watermark across it. There's a book called The True Face of Billy the Kid. It was a private printing. I think they put out 75 of them. The author lives in Las Cruces, and I was lucky enough to get a copy of it. So that's where I got this from. So yeah, on the right, the viewer's right, supposedly is Billy the Kid. And the kicker is the guy on the left, which they say is Dan Diedrich. So a little bit of the backstory very quickly is this was originally in the George Griggs collection from the museum, the Billy the Kid Museum in Las Cruces that since has closed down years and years ago. But the cool thing about it is this came from the estate of Pat Garrett and was sold in the 1970s. And the seller was Pauline Garrett, Pat Garrett's youngest daughter, I think. So for that reason, we have at least we're connecting it to somebody that is related to Billy the Kid. So that's really as solid of a chain of custody as we can get. From everything else that I'm going to kind of elaborate on is more or less just speculation. But the reason why, well, of course, again, the guy he has a photo expert that reaches out to him and he does 100% comparison saying that's definitely Billy, that's definitely Dan. I don't put a lot of stock in that sort of stuff. I don't think you do either. So I don't really base my decision on the fact that a photo analysis guy certified it. But what he does say that also kind of adds some credibility, not credibility is probably not the right word, but in the known photo of Dan Diedrich, we know that Dan was injured in the left arm. His family says that it was by a bullet during the 5-day battle. I know historians have debated whether or not Dan was actually there or not, but you can clearly see in the photo of Dan that we know for sure he is favoring his left arm, and he does hold it across his waist. And you can see in this photo that this guy's kind of holding his arm that way too, which I think is a really awkward position to hold your arm in if you're sitting beside somebody. So that's kind of odd.
Right.
Now I know
Well,
I've
let
heard.
me switch over. Let me
Go ahead.
switch to the known photo of Dedrick real
Okay.
quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, so everybody watching, you're looking at Dedrick supposedly on our left. So
Mm-hmm.
he's the guy with his arm up, and the I don't know, I don't know what else to say, but on your left, the viewer's left, and then we're going to compare him with this guy who is a known photo of Dedrick.
Right. Correct. I've heard people say that it doesn't look anything like him, and I kind of agree. I mean, just eyeballing it, it doesn't really look a lot. I mean, I don't jump and be like, "Yep, that's absolutely the same guy." But I mean, again, we've also looked at photos that were not the same guy that we knew were the same. I mean, it's kind of hard to
Right.
base anything off of it looks like him or it doesn't look like him. Because again, if we can't say photos are legit based upon it looks like him, then we can't do it because we don't think it looks like him. Because we all take bad photos, different light, and that's with really good cell phone, smartphone cameras now. I can only imagine how poor
Yeah.
photography was back then. So I don't really discredit that based on the deal. Again, if you look at this book, and I won't get into it because it's a lot of science and it's a lot of unproven science in my opinion, but the photo analysis, and he's a detective from I forget what police department, 30 years of experience, etc., and he takes and he
Right.
analyzes both of the photos. And the thing that sold him, and he makes a decent point, the thing that sold him is not only is the photo of Billy matching Billy 100%, but the photo of
Uh-huh.
Dan is matching Dan. And what's the likelihood that both people would both match that? I mean, basically, you're taking the improbability and then you're multiplying it times 2 because you have 2 people in the photo. So he makes a
But
very
that's all
interesting
putting
argument.
stock into facial recognition
Exactly.
software. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the problem. Now,
Um,
and this is just me, and I'm not an expert on facial recognition software, but I do think there is something to the fact that with facial software, I think it's easy to discredit photos. Clearly, if a jaw doesn't match up, et cetera, you can right away say this is absolutely not them. For me, it's confirming that it's them based on it is where I personally have issue with it. But
right.
again, I'm not really considering the facial recognition in this whatsoever because too many times it's been proven wrong. So, just that aside, we have a photo that, in my opinion, definitely looks like Billy for what that's worth. We have a photo that could look like Dan. I mean, they both have big ears. They have shaggy hair. You can tell in the other photo. They're both holding their left
Right.
arm in a peculiar way. Dan also said when he gave his copy of the tintype, circling back to the tintype conversation we had earlier, when he gave his copy of the tintype to his nephew, I believe his name was Frederick or Fred, if I remember right. He told his nephew that he was there when Billy had the photo taken, meaning the
Yeah.
original tintype photo. Could he have been saying that to just sound cool? Who knows? Probably. But if true, that means that he was with Billy at the same time when the photographer was present. So that adds a little bit to it. Um,
Yeah.
Now, here's where the speculation comes in with the author and the guy that discovered this photo is how did this photo get into the Garrett estate? And he
And was it
admittingly,
really the Garrett estate?
say what again?
Was it really in the Garrett
I
estate? I
mean,
mean,
and that's true.
is
That
there?
is true. Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. There may be some photo guys that are out there that may have already researched this and can even debunk that. I don't know. I'm just simply going by what the book says about it from the guy's investigation that he did on it. But let's just say it
Yeah.
wasn't the estate. He attributes that possibly, and it's a theory, but basically that Garrett, when after the kid escaped, Garrett was spent a lot of time in White Oaks. That's where the Diedrich brothers were still at the time, and he assumes that possibly Garrett went and got the photo from the Diedrich brothers to basically have an image of Billy that people could look at in the hunt for Billy. Again, that's a big stretch, and that's certainly a speculation. I don't know why the Diedrich brothers would help Garrett, but who knows? But
Right.
yeah, so that's the story of that photo. Like I said, the provenance is not great, But at least it's something. At least it's not. I found this in a flea market in North Carolina, and I think it looks like Billy. I think there's a little bit of something there.
Right. So we need to revisit this, and uh, somebody can help us look into this, or maybe Josh, you can look it up.
Sure.
Um, I believe it was Michael Lowry who talked about this photo, and the
Mhm.
reason I say we need help on it is I don't fool with Michael anymore. Michael, you know, it
Uh-huh.
took a different side in an unnamed
Sure.
conflict we were in, and I didn't respect what he had to say, and I don't speak with him anymore. But he's got this blog called Home on the Range, and I think he actually claimed that he was at a museum. And again, I could be totally wrong. Somebody's gonna have to look this up or ask him directly about it. But that he found this photo, and that it might have even said something on the back, and that he turned it into, the staff, and they said something like, uh, "Oh, thank you," and they didn't seem to care. And then a short time later, or some extended time later, I don't know, they they came out, or somebody came out, promoting this photo and making a big deal out of it. And
Uh-huh.
it seems to me like he was saying, perhaps there was some kind of less than honest origin story about it, or that he had found it first. Uh, at any rate, if somebody goes on his Facebook page, Home on the Range, or maybe he has
Uh-huh.
it publicly posted somewhere, do a little search on this photo, and I might be correct in this. I could be wrong, but I do think he talks about it. So he might have an angle on this photo
Okay.
that may shed some light on it too. Do you remember anything like that, Josh?
Yeah, now, and I had not thought about that when I was pulling this up to talk about it, but now that you mention it, I do recall because I think I talked about this photo several years back on a Facebook chat of some sort, and I think he chimed in basically saying that that he'd seen it already, and I don't remember any details about what he said. So yeah, we definitely need to look at it because I would like to know more about it because like I said, it is the only one that gives me pause really. Um, so yeah, if
Well,
Lowry knows something else, that would be interesting.
yeah, and I think it's worth giving you pause. I mean, I have where I've done my genealogy and everything. I've come across maybe 7 or 8 photos
Hmm.
of my great grandfather, and he lived. He was born in 1856, and he died in 1936. And I have about let's maybe like 8 photos of him throughout his life. And there are photos of him where if I did not know for a fact it was him, I couldn't be sure and
Yeah,
tell you that, it was him or not. They don't quite look like the same person.
yeah,
And so what you said earlier kind of rings true in that, there's elements that change, angles change, lighting changes, and it's hard to say, but I will do a side by side comparison right now. And I mean, dang, it's kind of cool to see. I'm going to share my screen real quick, and you might be onto something. Let me share my entire window, and you guys let me know if you can see this.
I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty compelling. I mean, again, we've all said 100 times you can't do it off of what you think they look like because that's nothing but opinion. But yeah, in my opinion,
Right.
they sure look alike. When I look at this photo, I'm more convinced that's Billy than I am that it's Diedrich. But um, yeah, I mean, the chin for me, the small mouth. The nose
Right.
looks very similar. The eyebrows, oddly enough, look, in Billy's known photo, his eyebrows are mismatched. It's kind of like the viewer's right eyebrow is
Yeah.
straight while the viewer's left is kind of curved. And this almost looks that way on this speculative photo.
I'm
Uh,
trying to flip it horizontal, but I'm not really seeing a lot of. Oh, maybe it's this edit thing real quick. Nope,
I
that's
bet
not
Pierre
working.
would know how to
Sorry.
do it.
Yeah, he would. He'd also be using something other than like Microsoft Paint. So,
Probably.
there's that. But anyway, uh, yeah,
Yeah,
that I mean, it's intriguing to say the least,
it
for
is.
sure.
It is. I know Pierre's gotten us some more info on the origins of the photo that I just brought out. So yeah, let's do a little bit of digging into it, and maybe we can talk about it, or we'll do a formal post on it and talk about it a little bit because I definitely think that, man, just look at even the chins on both of those. Like they're wider, but like it's almost like it's canted to the right at an uneven angle on both of them. I don't know.
Mhm.
I hate it when people look at photos and say it's them because of the way they look, but we're just having fun here. But
That is
uh,
so that's so cool. I mean, I've never really did a side by side like this. I've always been really dismissive and skeptical of this
sure,
photo, but that's pretty powerful right there.
yep. I mean, I think so. I think it. Like I said, for me, if I had to pick a second photo that's Billy, this is the one I would go with. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's the only thing is, these speculations and possibilities continue to really put to shame the folks that said Billy was a handsome guy.
I know. Well, like suit meant something different back then. Maybe handsome meant something different back then. I don't know.
Oh
All
man.
right. Well, let's talk about what book we're reading right now, so we can let everybody go to bed.
Well, okay. That was fun though.
I know that was
It was
interesting.
a fun little speculation. Photo speculation can be fun, if you don't get too out of sorts about it, um,
Right.
and
Right.
too crazy. But yeah, moving on to Billy Books, brought to you by the Ash Upson Academy, where learning comes first. So
Uh, so,
you picked the
um,
book this week too, Josh. This month.
yeah. So, I've read this book years and years ago. Like, honestly, this was one of the first books I bought on Billy the Kid when I was probably 13 or 14. And then another podcast creator reached out to me and wanted me to talk to him about Billy the Kid and the possibility of him having kids. So I picked this up again after not touching it in probably 20 years, and I've just started reading through it. So my memory's a little sketchy, so we don't have to get too much into the details of it. But yeah, this is a self-published book by Albert Garcia. If you've seen a lot of specials on Billy the Kid documentaries, he was in some of them back in the early 2000s. I talked to Mr. Garcia a couple times, met him in Lincoln once. He's since passed. Very nice guy. He is convinced that he is Billy the Kid's great grandson, and he lays out the genealogy in this book. I don't believe him. He was very nice, but he had that Michael Lowry mentality that basically you don't know shit unless you're a native New Mexican, and he had that mentality, which I absolutely hate. So that rubbed a lot of people wrong, because he basically, anytime someone would come up to him and explain why his claim was not true, his defense was, well, you don't know because you're not one of the Hispanic people and you're not a native. And
Right.
that rubs me wrong. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm reading now. It's pretty hard to find. I think you can find it on eBay occasionally. But his claim is really wild, if I remember right. And again, I'm just now getting back into it. But basically, he says that after Billy left Silver City after his mom died,
Yeah.
that he went up to Fort Sumner, and that's where he got her pregnant. And basically, they
Abrana
kept,
Garcia.
yes, Sabrina Garcia. They kept, but then what was weird is like the whole Billy's child was kept under wraps, and like they didn't say anything, and like they raised it in like this cloud of secrecy. Like, who cares? I mean, Billy the Kid was nothing to. There was absolutely no reason to hide the kid as Billy. It's not like the law was going to come
Right.
after the offspring of Billy the Kid. It was just a far fetched reason that he used to justify nobody ever talking about it. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that's what I'm reading now. I don't know that I would recommend anybody go out and buy it because it's about 150 pages and about 10 of them are useful historical information. And the rest is a bunch of pictures of family reunions and stuff that honestly is not much interest to the Billy the
Right.
Kid fan. But yeah, so that's what I'm going over right now. How about you? You
And
got anything?
DB Cooper, yeah. I
What's that?
believe it is I believe this was the gentleman that was on Brad Meltzer's Decoded
Mm,
episode. and they show him and they introduce him, and the caption says Billy the Kid's grandson, like it's fact, and
Fact,
it's
yeah,
a shame, that things are like that. But
exactly.
yeah, there's many claims that Billy had children, and there's many, um, just none of it can be proven, and it's certainly possible. Yeah,
Yeah,
but as in this case, like Josh told the story, the kid would have to be like 12 or 13 at the time that he fathered uh, Abrana's child. That may be Patrocino, but I can't remember. Um, it's been a while since I've read it too.
right,
A couple photos in the book are interesting. They have their own butcher knife that they claim was Billy's, that was
right.
passed down in the family, and I believe they have a couple other items. A pocket watch they say was his, and things like that. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's when you're into Billy, you'll read anything that's
exactly,
connected with him, and this was
exactly.
one of those. And
So,
yeah, I don't really recommend it though.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
And
if anybody really just wants to see that portion of it, like I said, I don't feel bad. I'm not taking money out of the guy's pocket. He's since passed.
right.
But yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I can
he's
see if I can get some copies of the 4 or 5 pages that cover the actual quote unquote historical story. I don't mind sharing those because it is interesting to read. But yeah, I don't buy off on his claim. So yeah,
well.
that's
We've inspired a wonderful conversation about contraception in the 1880s in the thing, but I don't think we're going to do a show on that.
I would
We'll
rather
leave
talk
y'all to
about Star
discuss
Wars.
that. Yeah, yeah, and that's our contraception.
Yeah, there you go.
um,
Yep.
we're clocking in at close to an hour and 20. I
Yeah, we
love
better
when
shut it
we
off.
go past an hour, just because we're having a good time and talking about stuff
Right.
we want to talk about. We do have, we received some sad news this week. We were informed that our friend Jim Hullman
Mhm.
unfortunately passed away. And Josh, you got to meet Jim, right?
Yeah, I've met Jim, oh man, 3 or 4 times. Jim was actually probably our very first member, if I get that correct. He joined the
Wow.
coalition, I mean, like, right away. He actually reached out to me when I was looking for the grave of Jose Chavez, and, I guess Jose Chavez had quite a few offspring, etcetera, and one of them lives down in Roswell by him, so he put me in contact with him. Yeah, I mean, again, back in 2021. He since has been to every event in Lincoln that we were at. Has been just a good friend. He was a retired cop, so we talk police stuff a lot. Last time I saw him was at the Stinking Springs monument placement. He came up and we just had a really good time. We hung out that night, drank some beers at Billy's grave. Um, yeah, he was a good dude. Had no idea he was sick. We got the notification from a friend just the other day. So yeah, it was a tough one. But yeah,
Yes. So
go ahead.
we had this short memorial put together for him, and we'll go ahead and play that in his honor, and we'll return and bid everyone a good night. But if you guys just want to take a minute, remember our buddy Jim. Yeah, he was in The Kid, right?
Yeah, he played one of Garrett's posse members in The Kid, and then he was actually the one that ended up, I think, tying up Billy when he was captured at Stinking Springs. And but yeah, he played a little part in that, and he shared those stories. So yeah, good dude, really good dude. We're gonna miss him.
So I like to think in situations like this that, you know, regardless of what someone believes, we're in speculation station now too, and it's certainly nice to think that perhaps all of his Billy questions are answered. and he's getting the straight deal about what happened, and all the mysteries are being solved.
I hope so.
Um, so yeah, it's hopefully that's the case, you know. Uh, but we'll remember Jim. That's really cool. Liked he loved keeping up with our group on Facebook, and like you said, going to any event he could.
Yep, he's a good dude. So yeah, we'll I guess let's end on that note, man. Man, guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in. This is one of the more fun shows we've done in a long time. So I like this. This is good stuff. I'm anxious to read the comments here in a little bit and and see where we go from there. So anyways, you got anything else to close it out with, James? Take us home, buddy.
Well, I will give you this. It's an anecdote, and you know, if you got to leave, you can leave. It'll take about 5 minutes, but it's a little story. And when as we're thinking of Jim, my sister passed away in 2023, 2024. I had just got into Billy the Kid, and they lived in South Carolina at the time, and they had just moved. Her and her husband had just moved to New Mexico, and on their way out there, they'd driven across, and they had arrived, and she'd sent me pictures of her standing in front of the Fort Sumner Museum, and a couple other shots, uh, and then within a week she'd passed away. They hadn't even moved in yet to their home. And anyway, a few weeks later, I had a dream, and in the dream, I was at her memorial service, and we were all standing around, and I get a text message from her, and she said, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "You know, we're at your funeral." And she said, "That's weird. It doesn't feel like I'm dead." And I went, "Well, yeah, you passed away." And she goes, "Oh, well, let me tell you some stuff about Billy." And she started texting me. And you know, a lot of folks say in your dreams you can't read, but I can read in my dreams. I read all the time. And you know, I see her message, "Let me tell you some things about Billy." And then the next message that comes through, the letters are shifting in the message and moving around as if, and the sense that I got in the dream was that she wasn't allowed to divulge that kind of information, that she was trying to smuggle me Billy information from across the veil, and like whatever, the spirits weren't letting her. And it was a very cool dream. And you know, just to add that to Jim's passing recently, that hopefully, you know, ideally, perhaps he's beyond the veil and he's got his Billy answers, you know. So anyway,
Yes,
I'll
sir.
leave y'all with that.
It's good to know.
Everybody have a good night,
Thanks, guys. We'll talk
and
to y'all.
we'll see you. If not sooner, we'll definitely see you at the first Sunday of next month. But we've got a few plans for pre-recorded content. So
Yep.
y'all have a good night. Thanks for tuning in as always, and we'll see you on down the trail.